Hello there, and welcome along to Talkin Con, a cup of tea with Englishman in San Diego. The cuppa is back. The cap is back. I'm half the man I used to be. It's been a heck of a year. And it's been quite a long time since we've done one of these. Yes, we have had one or two kind of incidental episodes. We had a recap episode a couple of weeks ago where we talked about the awards for Tripwire magazine, which I was very honoured to be a part of. And also we kind of went through the runners and riders with Joel Meadows, the editor-in-chief of Tripwire magazine. So it was a pleasure to do that. But we haven't done an actual podcast episode for a while. I think the last time we did one of these was, what, February? Something like that. Even then, I'm not entirely sure. Either way, we're back. And what we're going to be doing is every Sunday, we're going to be talking about Comic-Cons, con culture, and all the stuff and nonsense we get to enjoy at such shows. If this is your first time watching Talkin Con, a cup of tea with an Englishman in San Diego, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Please do like, subscribe, comment down below. We've got the chat room up and running, but do put something in the comments. Do let us know how we're doing. Let us know if there's anyone that you would like to see as a guest on the show, because that obviously is something that we're moving forward, looking for guests to talk to, because the run of podcasts that we did throughout lockdown and last year in 2020, it's safe to say we had ourselves a stellar year of some incredible guests. I'm still gobsmacked about who we managed to get on the show last year. And hopefully we're going to build on that, and we're going to be having some more on. We are talking to people, and we're going to be getting a bit of an announcement later on in the week, hopefully, about who we're going to be having on the shows moving forward. This is season 9. I know that this isn't 9 years of it, but we did kind of like break it down. We had the Google Plus Hangouts, so that counts as a season. We had a season where I did some, and then we had the season where we had other special guests come on, and we had Alyssa join us, and we all kind of broken up. But this is kind of like our 9th block leading up to San Diego Comic-Con 2022. Obviously, stuff and nonsense is going to be happening between now and then. We have in November a con on both sides of the Atlantic, which I'm very excited about. Number one, over in the States, of course, we've got Comic-Con Special Edition, which we're going to talk about very shortly indeed. And we've also got ourselves Thought Bubble as well, which we are going to be really diving into. And it's going to be kind of like a relaunch for the website, theconventioncollective.com, for our coverage of cons. That's the general idea. We, of course, the reason why I haven't done these podcasts, and the reason why I haven't been doing a regular show is because I've always wanted the show to be live. It's about you guys. This isn't my show. I kind of sit on screen, yes, but this is you. This is all about your roundtable and about your talking about your experiences at conventions and how we can kind of help that you attend a better show. So that's the idea. That's the plan. And of course, your chats and your contributions to that, we always appreciate it. So thank you very much indeed. We've got ourselves Aaron Neighbours, who's joining us, looking great. Thank you. I appreciate that. Like I say, a little bit of weight's been lost, but exercise, good diet, and a lot of cycling. Who knew? If I'd have gotten that memo when I was 20, it would have been a much different story. So there we go. Sarita P's joining us. Hello all. Thank you very much indeed for joining us, Sarita. Toby Tolentino is watching. A sippy cuppa. I really this is probably the first cup of tea I've had for quite some time, because I've just been working my backside off. Solicitor Speg, better be a safety lid on that cuppa. No, I will never let you get that down. Spilling liquor was a sin, Englishman. That bit of video I really should kind of clip and upload special, because that was a very special moment, interviewing J.H. Williams III, and at the very end saying that I'm going to be looking forward to speaking to everybody. I'm going to go away now and have my pint of cider, and then I dropped it all over the laptop. Not great at all. Let's see who else is joining us as well. Yeah, Leanne D is watching on Thought Bubble. Very excited, because she's actually going to be coming across. So we're kind of going to have a little bit of a double header. Myself and Leanne D, we're going to be wandering around and we're going to be exploring Harrogate. It's shaping up to be one hell of a show. How it's going to be affected by COVID by November, we have no idea, but the lineup so far is shaping up very nicely indeed. We have ourselves a couple of Geek Explorers. I don't know if they've joined us before on the podcast, so thank you very much indeed to Geek Explorers for watching us on YouTube. Michael P is always keeping his eyes open on what's happening in the way of con culture. And yes, NYCC badges are still available, as are the badges for San Diego Comic-Con Special Edition. Again, we'll get into that in a second. So, Lister Smeg, yesterday was my birthday. I'm nursing a major hangover. Listen, happy birthday, Solicitor Smeg. Congratulations on your 21st birthday again. We'll go. I'll hedge my best bets on that one. So there we go. Aaron Neighbors is watching. Olaf from San Diego. Chuck Cook is watching. Howdy y'all. Listen, thank you very much indeed for joining us today. It's an absolute pleasure to be back. As always, we are looking for your suggestions for guests moving forward, but we are going to be speaking to Simon Myers, who is the organizer of Meanwhile in Coventry, a brand new show that came to Coventry last weekend. Myself and Caroline went, and I was invited along because I was hosting a couple of panels. I wasn't able to live stream them, but as soon as Simon and the team are able to get them up, I'll be able to share them on various social media platforms. I personally had an absolute blast taking part in the panels, which I did. I did a DC writers panel, which was unusual because it was all artists, but it was mostly about the relationship between creatives and professionals and the actual company. It was not the happy clappy smoke blowing up arse session that I suspect DC wanted, but then again, we told the truth and we had a great session. Talk about that in a bit. And also I spoke to Rachel. Oh, good grief. I've had a complete mind fart because it's Rachel on social media. It was Rachel Smith, of course, creator of Quarantine Comics. Pleasure to talk to her for an hour or so. And like I say, those panels will be posting up as soon as we possibly can. Oh, we've got Alyssa joining us. Hello, Alyssa. Thank you very much indeed for stopping by. Thank you very much indeed. So yes, let's get into the main part of the coverage, which we're going to be doing about the news. A couple of bits and pieces, a couple of updates, and of course, do jump in with any of your comments, especially in regards to Comic-Con Special Edition. This is going to be taking place in November. It's what's I want to say we've got 6 weeks till the return time for the badges. So I'm going to have to just check on the date for Special Edition, but I believe it is where we at. I just want to confirm the date in my head. Yeah, 26th to 28th of November. But 6 weeks to go if you have bought your tickets or your badges and you are wanting to refund those because yeah, they're giving a little bit of a refund date. So yeah, it's a bit of an odd experience, this Special Edition. The vibe is certainly different. The anticipation is slightly off or slightly different. I mean, people are excited to get back into the convention center, and yes, the badges did sell, by all accounts, reasonably well. But it was the hardcore fans that were talking about it, those that attend San Diego Comic-Con each July on a regular basis, those that were really kind of wrapped up in the con culture, those that kind of are excited at the fact that they're now painting the Balboa Park museum space. Those people who are excited, but at the end of the day, the actual badge sales, they're still available, and that does speak volumes about the demand. It's going to be a little bit more like a WonderCon, with a slight change on that one. Someone actually, I believe, said on a podcast or on a coverage thing that the vibe's going to be very much like a WonderCon, in that it's going to be more about the vendors and the exhibitors and the artists rather than of being a more multimedia entertainment show as well. As always, Comic-Con has always involved that and wrapped that into its matrix. At the end of the day, I suspect this is going to be more about creators, and I suspect it's going to be more about local creators as well. A lot of people aren't going to be wanting to do flights. People are wanting to keep themselves nice and safe. The thing about creatives, and especially when it comes to the comics industry, we're talking about an industry which doesn't have much in the way of protection for health coverage for creators, which means they have to be incredibly careful. They have to be insular to some degree, and they have to look after themselves and their family if they want to keep working and earning. They can't take the risks. So what that actually is going to mean for creatives attending the show, we'll find out. We had a sneak peek on Thursday, I believe, for creatives that are coming to Comic-Con Special Edition. They showed up on the Talkin blog, a kind of guest sneak peek, which I can share with you on the old screen. So let's bring that up. This was on the Comic-Con website. If you do get the chance to head to the Talkin blog, it's always fun to just check out what they're actually doing on the site. And always Maggie Thompson's articles are well worth checking out. But we had ourselves 3 names that were listed. This is a sneak peek. And of course, these are going to be rolled out as we go closer to November. Kevin Eastman is the first person. Admittedly, a local boy. So he's based in San Diego. So it's just down the road, really. Not a great bit of distance for him. So, yeah, we'll see how he goes. Dustin Nugent. Not entirely sure where he's actually based. So, again, it's all going to tie into the availability and getting creators into the area. However, I do know that Sam Maggs is going to be traveling some kind of distance. Great writer of some fantastic books and of comics as well. So do check those out. So those are the 3 names that were announced: Kevin Eastman, Dustin Nugent, and Sam Maggs. Let's have a look at our comments so far. We had ourselves Chuck Cook saying that's exactly what we're expecting. Essentially, WonderCon down the street. Yep, absolutely. Andrew Dickinson asking, WonderCon, you pick up the tickets on the same day and the doors open at 11, thinking this will be the same. Yes and no. They're actually going to be opening up the badge sale for Comic-Con Special Edition. In Hall H is where it's going to be administrated. So you kind of head down to the to that end of the building, queue up, get yourself in there, get your badge, which you've bought for the 3 days, because there isn't any individual day badge available for Comic-Con Special Edition. It's all or nothing, $150, or should I be accurate, $158.80 because of the processing fee per ticket. So yes, they've kind of latched onto a couple of extra pennies for in that regard. Yeah, the way that I suspect it's going to work is going to be very similar to how they have it organized for up in sales for the main for Comic-Con in July. Instead of wandering around the building so much, though, into Hall H and show your vaccination card, of course, your proof of vaccination. And yes, I'm guessing there's going to be some form of wristband, or even it could be RFID. So it could be actually encoded into your badge, which I think would be probably the best solution. So we'll see how it goes. Oh, and Michael P's correcting me. Badge pickup starts on the Tuesday, actually. So you actually have, if you are local, you can actually head down and get yourself your badges pretty much throughout the course of the week. Into the Blue Mister, in all honesty, I'd be more tempted to attend San Diego Comic Fest rather than SDCC. Sounds more like my kind of thing. San Diego Comic Fest rather than San Diego Comic-Con Special Edition, maybe, if you are a hardcore comics fan. We've always called San Diego Comic Fest a show that harks back to the halcyon days of San Diego Comic-Con, very much about the creators, very much about the artists, very much about the golden age of cinema and creators. So always some great legacy guests attending Comic Fest, and indeed the largest comic convention that took place in 2020. I believe I got that right. Yeah, always. I think they really should have that on their card. Alyssa Franks, a new director this year. Yes. Do you mean for Comic Fest or do you mean for San Diego Comic Con? Because I believe it's the same for San Diego Comic Fest, because someone has got themselves a new job and I think they've had to step down. But yes, certainly for the convention for San Diego Comic Con, there is a new director, somebody who has had a little bit of worrying concern in her CV, but at the end of the day, the convention has full faith in her, so she's going to be the one that's going to be taking the convention through. I'm going to be very curious. I'm going to be in the room for the talkback panel if it runs. That's going to be next July, and I'll be very curious to see how she does. Alyssa Franks is saying, no, it's the fest. Yes, because, well, someone's moved on and got themselves a job. So I think we can all appreciate that in this time of year. So let's have a look at what else we've got. Let's try and cover as much as we possibly can. Yes, the reward is a huge plus for those that want San Diego Comic-Con registration for 2023. If you have bought yourself a badge for San Diego Comic-Con Special Edition, you will be able to, or you are qualified for pre-registration for Comic-Con in July in 2023. If you are a badge holder for 2022, that means you're basically a badge holder for 2019 or 2020, sorry, because those badges went on sale in 2019, which seems like an age ago now. Those rolled on for the last 2 years, and yes, your pre-registration for 2022 is not going to happen because it was a sellout show. We basically are guessing that there's not going to be much in returns in return for refunded badges. So it's a case of just there's not going to be a badge sale for next year. However, if you have bought yourself a badge for special edition, yes, you're automatically going to be available for pre-registration for San Diego Comic-Con 2023. And I do know a number of people that have bought badges and outlaid that $150 or $158, yada yada yada, for that money for a full weekend badge, just so it's a better opportunity to get the foot in the door at San Diego Comic-Con, which at the end of the day is always going to be the big draw. Whether it's going to be as big a draw as previous years because of the local situation or the worldwide situation, we have yet to know. Let's have a look. Dan Berry. Matt is still the chairman for SD Comic Fest, but Towery stepped down as director. I was under the impression Matt had stepped down as chairman, but if he's still involved and if he's still kind of putting stuff together for Comic Fest, yeah, Matt Dunford is a good friend of ours, and we're looking forward to getting him back on the show. Solicitors make wonder how it will affect chances of people getting badges in return registration for 2023 with an influx of extra eligible people. True, but it's also worthwhile remembering as well that we are talking about a badge sale which didn't sell out. I've no idea how many they're putting on the door, and we will never find those numbers out. San Diego Comic-Con will never, or CCI will never reveal those numbers. But at the end of the day, I think there's going to be an impact, but it's not going to be huge. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Andrew Dickinson, within an hour of the announcement that flights were allowed, I got notification the flight was changed. United no longer listing a direct LHR to LAX flight. Well, I mean, we can only hope that that changes. But at the end of the day, transport within the US is still problematic. But hopefully that situation is going to improve between now and November. In terms of what is actually going to be presented, we've all also been checking out the headlines as well from the likes of Hollywood Reporter and also Deadline as well. A number of companies are not going to be representing on the floor, including the likes of DC, Marvel, Dark Horse, and etc. A number of film companies have said that they're not going to be representing. Purely because it's a case of getting talent to the actual show itself. It's going to be an interesting show. Dan Berry is going. He's a local lad. He's got his ticket. He's going to be making his way. I believe Alyssa Franks is going to be making her way as well. And I'm looking forward to doing a couple of live streams from inside the convention center. I want to see what the change is going to be like. I want to see what the impression of the show is going to be like. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. So, oh, Michael P. Oh, here we go. Chuck D. Cook is saying we're going. Michael P. I'm going as well. Aaron Neighbors, me too. Listen, I'm very tempted to just get you all to just dive in and live stream, and let's just have like 5 or 6 windows open. Let's just do a panoramic of San Diego Comic-Con special edition. Let's see how it does. Dan Berry, Darren Schulman will also be representing the Convention Collective at SDCC Special Edition. Looking good. Okay, so there you go. Right. So we'll keep a track on all the announcements going forward for San Diego Comic-Con Special Edition. Also, as well, we had ourselves the hotels going live on Friday, I believe. And as far as I'm aware, it's a case of the hotels are or were available and very, very cheap as well. The idea, 1 or 2 people saying we wish that the hotels were as cheap for the main Comic-Con, which unfortunately that's not going to be the case, but ever. But for now, it is a case of excellent stuff. It's just nice and cheap. So fantastic stuff. Let's have a look. I wanted to show the. Let's see if I can just bring this up, because the unofficial blog did a great show while the actual badge sale was taking place. It was rather interesting to see experienced badge buyers, such as the editor-in-chief and Kerry and everyone else involved in the unofficial blog. It was very interesting to watch them kind of saying, "Oh, right, I'm in. I'm going to disappear now. I'm going to go and buy my special edition badge." And it kind of threw them a little bit for a loop, but it was interesting to see them disappear, and what you would expect to be 8 minutes or 7-8 minutes while they inputted all the data and rushed through the badge sale. Then it just kind of like it came to a little bit of a crashing halt, because they kind of came back 3 minutes later and just saying, "Yep, that was incredibly painless. That was a really easy setup." So no, it's a great recap of the badge sale. So do check that out if you get the chance. That is on their YouTube channel at the moment. But we had ourselves this update that they posted, which was the update of the hotel update. This was what, 45 minutes ago. Hotel Republic sold out, low inventory on Hilton Gaslamp 2 rooms, Marriott Gaslamp 3 rooms, Indigo 6, Hard Rock 11, Resident Inn by Marriott Downtown 13, but still lots of hotels available. Something they pointed out as well as part of the live stream was the fact that don't forget, as part of this special edition of Comic-Con, the city is not going to be putting on a free shuttle service. It is something that they've arranged with the city and the local transport. So SDMTS are not going to be putting on a shuttle service. So if you are thinking about getting a hotel a little bit further afield, up in the top end of town, Mission Valley, etc., don't forget it's going to be harder to get down to town. But they put up a nice little a screenshot of the rooms that are available. And like I say, they're not extortionate. So if you are heading to Comic-Con Special Edition, yes, they're there, and they're more than available. So if you want to dive into that. Now let's have a look at this. So let's just make, I'm pretty sure I've read somewhere that Funko and Bluefin will have exclusives SDCC Special Edition. Well, yes, by all accounts, and this is part of announcements that have been made by Comic-Con, Funko will have a representation at Special Edition. Not necessarily an actual booth. They kind of worded it very, very carefully. But yes, the whole idea of exclusives, I think we're going to be seeing those. It's just more a case of what we're going to actually see on the floor. So there we go. Sarita P, hotel pricing was nice. I hope they're nice next year. We'll see what happens. Lisa Franks, let's have a look. So did Movers and Shakers. Brendan did one. Ah, right. I haven't seen Brendan's effort yet, so I might watch that a little bit. Try that a little bit later and listen to that. So there we go. What else? Andrew Dickinson, all of ours were finished in 9 minutes 21, and that followed one group being thrown out of the queue. Our buying group said Chuck Cook was done in 15 minutes. We had 2 more in, but no more people who wanted tickets. Fair enough. Leanne D, it was so hard for me not to buy Comic-Con Special Edition badges. And like I say, they are still available. And I suspect they're going to be still available for some time. So if you are suddenly getting the urge to get yourself a Comic-Con fix, dive into that. So please check that out. Right. What else have we got going on? Yeah, we've got ourselves a little bit more news as well when it comes to the likes of Thought Bubble. They have been announcing a whole bunch of restrictions. Well, not restrictions as such, but certainly the way that they're going to be operating the convention this year. They are very much going to be going for the full vaccination card route. You have to have a proof of vaccination, or you're going to have a positive test result paperwork before you even get through the door, which is understandable. If you've been to the convention center in Harrogate, you know it's a very closed system. I actually had concerns about Thought Bubble moving to Harrogate because of the area. It's one of those affluent areas. It's one of those areas that has a little bit of a chip on its shoulder that it's not York. But the reason why it's so affluent is they don't spend money. They're very frugal in Harrogate. But inside the convention center, it's almost like its own little world. You go in through the front door. There's no real way to kind of move around. There's no additional exits or entrances. It really is through the front entrance of the convention hall at in Harrogate, which does make it very difficult for ventilation and movement. And we'll certainly see with that with COVID in November. But like I say, they are going the full route when it comes to vaccination card and also the other elements of making sure that everyone's safe on the floor. We're also going to be seeing, or that has also been introduced by MCM as well. And by all accounts, we may be seeing that being introduced for New York Comic Con. That we've yet to find out. It's not been officially announced just yet. But by all accounts, you are going to have a vaccination card or a proof of a COVID-free test 24 hours prior. So we'll see how that goes. Like I say, we're waiting on the official Repop announcement about that at some point. So fingers crossed, things will start developing nicely on that one. Let's see what else we've got. Our elements as well. I'm just checking what I'm doing here. We've got Simon, who's kind of floating around in the back of the screen there. He's sipping on a cup of tea. We'll get to him very shortly indeed. It's on the way. But what else have we got? Alyssa Franks was talking about the badge buying process. The running man time was not accurate. No, the estimation was likely based on an average time to complete the buying process. And everybody just kind of dived in. And it wasn't an average time. It was rather easy to do and rather quick to kind of move through the process. So yes. Geek Explorers, we had the first MCM London guest announcement, Tom Hiddleston, yesterday, including astonishing prices. Yes, it was a little bit expensive, but it's Tom Hiddleston. What on earth would you expect? So there we go. Right. So we're going to keep an eye on all of the updates coming out of San Diego Comic-Con Special Edition, and we're going to be keeping it up to date as well with Thought Bubble as well. So do stick with us on Talkin Con, a cup of tea with Englishman in San Diego. We would love to please have you joining us throughout the course of this season, going forward with our special guests and also our news and updates as we go forward, and certainly as we head towards Lakes. We've got the Lakes Festival. We've got ourselves London Film and Comic Con coming up. We've got ourselves MCM London and also MCM Birmingham, I believe. And of course, Thought Bubble in November. And all the US shows as well. We'll do our best to cover all of those. Don't forget, if you are watching, we are going to be moving over to our Patreon very shortly indeed. So please do join us for that, because, of course, we're going to be closing the live stream down for the other streams very shortly indeed. I will trim that little bit of a technical issue out very shortly before we upload it on Wednesday. But do join us on Wednesday if you are watching this for free, and we'll do the full bits and pieces. But please do consider joining us on the Patreon stream. Donate a couple of pennies into the pot. Every penny goes to our writers on the Convention Collective. Please do support us the best you can. We're going to be closing that stream down very shortly indeed. So if you are watching on Facebook, YouTube, or on Twitter, while we vanish, we'll say hello and say goodbye. But if you are watching on Patreon, it's going to be the complete stream as we talk to Simon Mayers, who's joining us. Hello there, Simon. How the devil are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm all right. Although it is Myers.
Oh, Myers. I always keep saying Mayers, don't I? Okay, so I thought that's what I said.
It's not like we've only just met, Len.
No. So, Stephen, it's a pleasure to have you joining us. Thanks for coming on. Yes, you had yourself a busy weekend, and you're looking a lot more relaxed now than you were this time last Sunday, because you were looking a little bit frazzled there, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, that was an adventure. That was an adventure.
Yes. Just to explain, I mean, well, first things first, explain who you are in terms of your creative journey, and then explain to us about Meanwhile Comic Con. But first things first, who are you, Simon? And it's certainly about what you've done in terms of your art and in terms of comics.
Oh, okay. I'm an illustrator primarily, and I've worked all over the place. I mean, some of the stuff I've done, I created the launch range of t-shirt graphics for Ted Baker at Designers at Debenhams. I worked on London 2012 for Adidas. I've done loads of stuff. And then a few years ago, I sort of got made redundant, had to move back to the Midlands from London, and realised that actually I'm not a fan of graphic design. So I started drawing. Well, I've always drawn, and I should have gone into drawing first. But then I decided to try and make it as an illustrator, and got some work doing Doctor Who and Sherlock covers, loads of stuff for Titan Comics. And then just recently thought, well, I've got the idea of the perfect festival in my head. And let's see.
You had this kind of like the phone book of people you'd either met at conventions or just kind of talked to. So, I mean, the one thing I learned about you when I met you at Thought Bubble, you like to network. You like to meet people and come out from behind your table and actually talk to everyone. So you kind of like have this contact list.
Networking isn't the right word. It looks like networking. I like meeting new people and learning about them. You know, like I'd rather ask questions about new people and learn about them than talk about myself. And whether that's endearing or not, but I ended up with a contacts list that was quite enviable. So Meanwhile was put on as like many people pulling favours for me.
You had yourself a hell of a guest list. I mean, when did it's sort of like the planning for Meanwhile start? I mean, when did and from that first germ of an idea in your head?
Oh well, it all started. I've been running an event called a Drink and Draw for many years, almost a decade, with a friend of mine who unfortunately, through no fault of anybody's, actually wasn't involved in the planning in Meanwhile. And it all started because we were doodling on a beer mat in a pub, and the landlady said, well, you know, do you want to do that for a night? And we did, and we had 75 people turn up the first night, thinking it would just be, you know, me and Nigel and a few others sitting around a table. But this happened, and just so in November 2019, we were doing a drink and draw at Coventry Cathedral, and around the same time, I was getting social media for Dan Panosian's Drink and Draw Social Club, and Dan was getting sort of much social media and emails for us. So we started talking and thought it'd be amazing to do a transatlantic drink and draw. Then, like, I was talking to Ollie McNamee, Ollie McNamee, who I think you know, and he was like, "It's too big. It's too big to do it." So, because I know the cathedral, because I'm a part-time lecturer at Coventry University, because the fact that we have done drink and draws in the astonishing Herbert Art Gallery, which you've now been in, we thought it'd be quite nice to use that whole space, which is all interconnected, and do a comic. Well, I don't like the word Comic Con because it's anonymous with other stuff.
Yeah.
We decided to do a festival there. Yeah, and that's what Meanwhile was all about.
I mean, the thing that kind of struck me, I mean, we're showing the video footage now of the cathedral. The location of what you chose, Coventry, and certainly that whole area of the Herbert, of the hub, of the convention. So where you put the festival tent.
Oh, the old yes. So
all just kind of like nicely in this really great space, very picturesque as well. And it was just a joy to kind of like have that space nicely close together.
Yeah,
the stage as well, and it just nicely, because when I saw the map of what you'd got planned for Meanwhile, I wondered just how far it was going to be apart, but it was just nicely accessible. And yeah, just a joy to kind of get to see this space. I mean, we've got the image up there of the tent area in the courtyard of the cathedral, which was also rather entertaining as well, because as it was held over the course of the weekend, you had a lot of silver-haired grannies walking into the cathedral area, obviously there to bask in the religious glow of this incredible surrounding, and wondering why there was this tent of comic creators kind of like in the way, but they were entertained, and they kind of like they had a look round, and they weren't too off-putting. So no, it was not only that, but the weather held off. I mean, that's a picture there from the Saturday, and it was a glorious day. Little bit of the weather at the back end, and a little bit of rain on the Sunday morning, but it kind of cleared out nicely. It worked out really well. The weather was really lucky for you. There you go. There's a very frazzled looking Simon.
So if I may say, what people have just seen, those last two photos, this is the space in between the middle. So you're walking from the old bombed out cathedral ruins, which were bombed in World War II, and then you walk through this space, which is massive and epic, and you know, I was going to say cathedral-like, but it is a cathedral. And then you walk into the new cathedral, and it's, you know, you can't ask for a better location, to be honest.
Absolutely glorious. What else have we got? Oh yeah, we got the cosplayers as well. So this was, I mean, this is a picture from, let's have a look at where I am now.
That looks quite
This
early.
is just from the corner. Yeah, this being the corner of the courtyard. So you've got the cathedral. No, you've cathedral directly ahead. You've got the Herbert space on the left there, and you've got the stage space. But in the middle as well, you also had these wonderful battle boards as well. So I know that Ollie, who you mentioned earlier, he was involved in his own kind of street arts
Yes.
festival, which was High Vis, that took place on the same weekend. But for your own element, you very much dove into that aspect of creative art as well. Why did that element, did you feel? Because you don't see that much at comic conventions.
The whole event wasn't necessarily comic books. That's why we tried to sort of avoid saying it. It's about telling people's stories and about getting children, adults, whomever, just to pick up a pen and a pencil. And comic books are the end point of telling your story with pictures and words. But graffiti also tells a story. You know, sculpture, painting, sculpture, music, prose. They all tell stories, and we wanted to show that creating artwork doesn't have to be laborious, and it doesn't have to be sitting in your bedroom for hours. You know, you can grab some spray paints or pens and do something really quite special. I think these guys had 2 hours for each board, and it seemed to work. People were really engaging. People really liked it. So it was a fun thing to do. It also, comic books comic book conventions, comic book festivals, whether it's something astonishing like Thought Bubble, which I always come away inspired, or whether it's something like a London Film and Comic Con or an MCM, where it is a little bit more media based. There's never really much for people who aren't necessarily into the subject matter to do. So we actually thought having these live drawings happen would be quite entertaining for those people who aren't necessarily into the subject matter.
Absolutely. I mean, we're scrolling through, and yeah, always great to have Rachel Smith representing. So she was there, and it was great to host her panel. And I think the thing that really kind of galvanized me about the panels that you put together is that they weren't your standard panels. It wasn't your average usual topics. I mean, you chose a Marvel writers panel, so it was very much about that relationship between the creatives and the company. For example, with my own, which I did with the Dan Panosium, Jeff Johnson. Oh no, it was Jeff Johnson, Dave Johnson, and also
John Higgins.
John Higgins.
I also, may I just, I got absolutely. I was having a drink with Ian Churchill afterwards, and he's like, "Why wasn't he in that panel?" And I completely forgot that he's like has a seminal Supergirl run.
He has.
And he rinsed me about that all evening. All evening. And he to be fair to him, he's completely right. We could have had Ian and John on stage, and that's my fault. The choice of
well. I mean, I think we were quite okay with the guests that we had. If anything, because we also had the fact that Jeff and Dave were Skyping in. So juggling that was entertaining enough. But it was the fact that it wasn't a full positive panel in terms of the relationship between creatives and the company. So it was very grounded. It pulled no punches, and that was such a great session to be involved in, even if maybe DC press or DC, people at the high ups at DC may not be entirely happy with the results. But we were honest about, and the guys were very honest about their dealings with the company. And I found that with all of the panels, it wasn't just your straightforward, just kind of subject matter or even your approach. Your panel, which you did with the Star Wars creatives, so you had Kieran Gillen, you had who else? You had Brokenshire, so you had and you also had George Mann as well on stage. So you had the creatives, so you had IDW, you had Marvel, Star Wars, and you had the novels as well, all represented. And it wasn't your standard Star Wars panel. It wasn't even your standard Star Wars creatives panel. You really kind of got into some real macro questions about just their real personal connection with the subject matter. And I thought that was a fantastic panel. The panels that you ran, you scheduled them for like an hour to an hour and a half, which is a lot longer than usual panels that you would see at a convention or a festival. Why did you feel that it needed that kind of space? I mean, there is that idea of something to breathe. You know, you're not looking at the time, you're not panicking so much. But why that long? It did feel. I'm just curious as to why you felt those timetables.
Well, that was a discussion that was had early on, and it was to let the guys talk. You know, very often, a moderator, as you know, is dictated by time. So suddenly, it's like, right, move on to the last question. And I thought what we were able to do, particularly on the Star Wars panel, I was actually able to let like Nick and Kieran and George actually finish their points, as opposed to having to rush them into the next question. And actually, what was nice is Kieran in particular would like, oh, do you mind if I just say this? And he was able to add to his point and give texture and context to his answers. And Nick did the same thing. You know, it was I really, really enjoyed it because it's a subject matter that's really, really close to my heart. So it was lovely to be able to talk to, well, two guys who I consider very good friends, and Kieran, who I know relatively well. So to actually just sit and chat with my mates about Star Wars was just amazing. And obviously, you know, you were there as well and helped out. So it was I thought that one went really, really well. And we had quite a few people there. I checked the tickets sold, and we had quite a few people there, which was quite nice. Especially after you told me it was only 20 people. So I went back and checked the tickets.
Okay. I mean, it was certainly. I mean, the Star Wars one was certainly one of the big draws of the weekend as well. So no, it's great to know that it was an audience there. But also, I mean, you had the drink and draw as well. We've got the images up on screen, and this was a free event that was held inside the cathedral.
Yeah.
I don't think. Let me see if I can just zoom in on this because I think people need to just realise there's a bar. Inside the cathedral, where so you had creatives not only just doodling away, but also getting merrily piddled inside a cathedral.
Yeah.
I mean, my wife, who was brought up Catholic, was determined that she was going to go to hell. So it was just entertaining to kind of like have that session there. And yeah, it is such an amazing building to kind of like wander around and get the chance.
Yeah.
But yeah, here we go. We've got this for me summed up the weekend. We've got creatives with pens and paper doodling away and then just cutting loose and just enjoying themselves. And I think it just summed up a really joyous way for people to kind of get back into conventions after a long hiatus and a long time. We were talking about this with a number of creatives behind the table over the weekend, especially on the Sunday. And the idea being that there's going to be a number of people who are tabling at things like MCM or at Thought Bubble. And it's going to be one hell of a shock to just suddenly be faced with that amount of people straight away after this length of time. Events like Meanwhile really did allow those that did table at the show a chance to kind of decompress instead of getting the bends, which I can imagine a lot of creatives are going to get in November.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I was a touch disappointed with the turnout. It was never dead, ever. But we didn't get the crowds we expected. We were informed that because it's the tail end of Freshers Week, that there would be quite a lot of students milling around, and they didn't really appear to materialise.
No, because they were all still drunk.
Yeah, more than likely. But the day, in my mind, it was busy. It wasn't, you know, we're not talking 5 deep at every table like MCM, but we're not. Yeah, but sorry, not MCM, Thought Bubble, but it was busy. It was fun. Do you know what? I didn't get to tell the story about my Star Wars jumper on stage.
Go for it.
It's the only jump. I look shattered on that.
Well, you may not have seen the other one that I just showed you. Hang on a second. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That's the Simon we saw last weekend.
I had 3 hours sleep on the Saturday night.
Self-inflicted, man. I'm sorry.
Well,
no,
yeah.
you're not getting any sympathy from me.
I don't drink, and on Saturday night I drank. I mean, it was like what 6 or 7 bottles of Peroni, which is about 3.5 pints, I think. But I was quite tiddly. What was nice is the fact that sitting with me were Nick and George, so we were all on the Star Wars panel in the same state. But that jumper particularly is it's the only sort of geeky piece of clothing that Ali, my partner, lets me wear. She quite likes it. But what's cool is when I was working for Adidas, working on London 2012, doing t-shirt graphics for them, they had just done the first wave of partnerships with Lucasfilm, and this was one of the very, very first Adidas Star Wars jumpers that came out. And they took me down to, well, it used to be the Adidas Gallery in Carnaby Street, and I picked out that jumper, and as soon as it falls apart, I will weep because it's awesome. And it doesn't quite look it there, but it's actually all the colours on them are bright neon. But in that photo, it's not quite the neon that it actually is.
It was quite it's quite vibrant, which is why it was quite a contrast being worn by you that wasn't so vibrant at the time of you taking this picture, because it's got to be said, you were being pulled from pillar to post, and you worked your arse off last weekend.
Thank you.
Which then begs the question, 2 things. Number one, was it worth it? Which I think I know the answer to that question is. Of course it was. Yes.
It was. I think it was. Yeah.
Okay.
So, Len, may I tell you something? On the Friday night, so this is 9 o'clock on the Friday night, I get a phone call from my partner Ali. She's just fallen down the stairs and broken her foot, so she ended up.
Okay, you never mentioned that.
Yeah. So not only was the weekend me running a festival, I also was very worried about Ali, and on top of that, my right-hand man wasn't there because I'd run the drinker draws with Al. So there was like a point where if she was there, I'd have been able to turn off at about 6 o'clock because Ali would have sorted out the drinker draw, made sure everything was running properly, and ran it. But she wasn't. So it's sort of, and then obviously she's got her foot in plaster and she's on crutches. So since coming home, I've basically been, running around making sure she's okay as well. So it was a very, very, very tiring weekend, and I've still not quite stopped. I've had a weekend off. May I just say, Catherine Hemmings is the most amazing person. She helped out all weekend. She's been our social media person, and we couldn't have done it without her. She is incredible. So everybody who's listening, go and buy her book, Being Ginger.
Absolutely. The pictures I'm showing, by the way, there's a what is this? I mean, obviously it's in the ruins of the old cathedral, and this is obviously this one of the central staircases up to an upper level. But it was right there in the middle of the marquee, and I just called it the awesome rock of awesomeness. And I just got the heroes to go on. So we've already seen the likes of Sonia Leong on there. We've seen Tony Lee on there, and let's see who else we've got. Catherine Hemmings there. Who else we got? You got Rachel Smith looking sublime and resplendent. Excellent stuff. We got ourselves some other great people, but like I say, the creatives really kind of dove in, and and really kind of supported you. What has been the response from the creatives that were behind the tables?
Loved it. Everybody who's come with a few minor details, like some people said there wasn't enough signage. That was down to us. A couple of people wasn't quite as busy as they were expecting. But it's the first con back. We're at the tail end of a pandemic. There's only 3 of us running it. I think we did all right. But most people, actually, to everybody, with the exception of a couple of minor not digs, that's the wrong word, a couple of minor issues, has said they would come back and that they really, really, really enjoyed it.
When you say minor issues,
I mean, that's what I just said. The signage, maybe not enough people.
Was that because at the end of the day, you are somebody that has tabled at a convention, and that has been your approach to it? That you've kind of you put this event on from the perspective of someone who has been at a tabled at a convention, but then now you're learning how you have to deconstruct it from an attendee's perspective as well.
I'll tell you what happened. We actually had, like a classic village signpost, so big upright and signs sticking off it. We had 3 of them ready to go, and we just ran out of time and couldn't put them up. God, I look broken in those photos. Like absolutely broken in those photos.
I don't know. I'm not entirely sure how Nick Brokenshire is actually holding it together. I saw him stifling a couple of yawns, but yeah.
But that panel was really, really interesting because I was asking questions that I wanted to know the answers to. And a very good friend of mine was in the audience who I've known since I was like 2 or 3 years old. And he said it was a really, really interesting. It was questions that answers to questions that he wasn't expecting, and indeed that were a lot of fun.
Yes.
He said the panel was fun.
It was. I mean, I absolutely. I mean, we've moved on from it because I want to show as many of these photos as I can. Let's see what else we got. Yeah, I got a nice bit of video there as well, so we'll let that run. So, a lot of the question obviously then is moving forward. Meanwhile, 2022. Is this something that you're planning already, or is this something that you're not even contemplating yet? You're still kind of decompressing from last weekend?
We had to give ourselves a week off. I was working 16-hour days for about a month beforehand, and we had to just stop. I would like to go forward. I'd like to move it forward. I think there is potential there for something really, really, really special. I think we could. Rival isn't the right word, but we could be akin to a smaller thought bubble. There was a lot we got right, which I thought would translate to the future really, really well. There was a lot we got right, and the venues, you can't ask for better, more regal, elegant venues. I thought they were all astonishing, and the fact that we got that bespoke lecture theatre, which is part of Coventry University as well.
What was the biggest surprise for you putting together your own convention? What was the thing that came out of it that you just went, I didn't quite expect that. I didn't realize that was going to be an element of this. Okay. What was the biggest thing for you that you just went, all right?
How many people said yes? Honestly, I and we played footage on the Saturday night. I don't know if people saw it, but we played footage of Charlie Adlard doing a drawing for us, and sort of saying we couldn't be there. Dave and Jeff did a drawing for us for the Saturday night, which we played footage of. Again, apologising for not being there. I think it was because there was no audio. People didn't quite clock it. They were all just, drawing and drinking and stuff, which is as it should be.
Yes.
What I didn't expect was not even being able to sit at my table for 5 minutes.
You did have a table inside the marquee, and yes, I didn't see you behind it once.
Yeah, and I on the Sunday, I was carrying a sandwich round that I didn't eat from about 12:30 right the way through till the end of play. I was just carrying the sandwich round. It went with me into the Star Wars panel. It went with me into. I was doing a Star Wars drawing panel where there was children, not panel, workshop where there were children drawing stormtroopers. We got a stormtrooper in there. So I was in there just giving them drawing tips. Again, the sandwich came with me. And then when I interviewed Jeff Johnson on his own about the difference between illustration and animation, which was amazing. I mean, I think that was up there with the Star Wars panel because it was just wonderful. Just being able to talk to like one of my heroes about animation and illustration and his process and how that process has changed over the last 10 years with the introduction of digital and throwing in like loads of geeky references. And that sandwich came with me for that as well. So it was at 5:30. I was like, this has now got handprints in. I can't eat this. You know, it was. And then
I was unable to make that panel. I really wanted to as well, but my train left at something like 6:05, so I had to be down there, and I couldn't make it for that panel. It is a panel that was a panel was on later on the Sunday. Why program that late into the Sunday afternoon?
Because of the time shift to America.
Yeah,
they'd already done, because of scheduling, because of lots of things shifting very, very late on. Dave and Jeff did us a huge favor. Dave and Jeff did us a huge favor by coming on to the DC panel, and I think for them it was roughly 4 a.m.
It was.
Could not do that to them again. We could not do that to them again. So we purposely made it later on, and we had quite a few people turn up. And what was nice is we had students and turn up who are into the subject matter. So it's not necessarily those people who are fans. It wasn't a fan convention. It was about people. It was about showing individuals that they can do more. You know, that they
and
can
also
tell
just
stories.
and getting that inspiration and getting that, like you say, that coming away from the show inspired to create. And I think that's what you were aiming for, and that's what I think you definitely achieved. For myself, it was a joy to be a part of. It was an honor to kind of to be asked to be participating. I know that I did kind of throw myself into one or two elements of the other panels, but I think certainly for the live streaming, they needed to keep the microphones moving.
Of course. I did feel that I had to wrestle the mic back off you on the Star Wars panel. That was a joke.
It's okay. It's all right. I'll take it. If you wanted to come down and beat me up by it.
No, it was fine. I just kept thinking, I want to ask another question. But there was a part in that Star Wars panel, if you watch the VT, where I go, oh, I've got to be somewhere else. And I say it out loud. And then I thought, actually, no, this is where I want to be. And I just got the times wrong in my head. And I thought, no, this is where I want to be. And as soon as I said that to myself, I just settled, and the rest of the panel went really, really well. Yeah. I've never done that before, and I really enjoyed it. And I think the only reason I really enjoyed it is because Nick and George were brilliant. They gave me loads of grace. Kieran always just, he'll tell us stories.
He's always a great shit, yeah.
But what was really nice is as the panel was going on, I asked a question which threw them all. And Kieran sort of turned to me and gave me a little wink as if to say, this is good. This is all right. You've not done a bad job here. And that made a hell of a. It meant a lot. It really, really meant a lot. I really, really enjoyed it.
Good stuff.
And again, speaking. Sorry, go
on. No, but I mean, just you were talking about the VT. You're talking about the YouTube clips. When are those going to be going live? Because I think a lot of people would love to see those.
Yeah, we've got, because it's all being professionally produced. It's all being edited and the sound's being done properly. And they will go live, but we need a few weeks because it can't. We're not putting in this much work to just put out the raw footage.
Yeah,
it needs to be special. So yeah, that's why. But I thought the Star Wars panel went really well. The 51st Legion coming in and Vader opening the panel with the stormtroopers and having Vader's theme blaring over the tannoy. I thought that was really lovely. It did. I think it went really well. There were loads and loads of things that we could build on moving forwards.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to find Caroline's pictures as well, because I'd love to show some of these, because I haven't actually seen many of these. So I don't mind very quickly. I mean, this is going to be awful for the audio version of this particular podcast. So yeah, please do tune into our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Englishman SDCC. So please do check that out. But yeah, Caroline took some photos as well. So we got Rachel as well, and yeah, let's see what we've got here. Yeah, just it was just nicely laid out, and everyone just had a really great time. Like I say, the weather kind of hampered you a little bit in places. One or two kind of rivulets running through the middle of the marquee, but I think everyone. I think, like I say, that the idea of coming together for the first proper creatives and artists and comics based convention without all the detritus of something that you would find at some conventions of like trinkets behind a table. Everyone just kind of sort of took a lot of the rough elements and just accepted it and ran with it, and they kind of they banded together and supported you as the best they could in this amazing space, and it was absolutely well worth checking out. But where can people? Oh, go on.
I was just going to say, it was also done because of the pandemic. You must have walked through the Herbert Art Gallery. It's massive. The airflow through the Herbert's huge. The tent, we made a point of you go in one side, you go out the other. And also, it was warm enough that we could lift the sides. So people basically sitting outside. The battle boards were all done outside. We were conscious of the fact that we've just come out of a pandemic, and I think we did okay.
I personally think you did more than okay. And like I say, I mean, I'm looking forward to uploading my gallery so more people can see the photos that myself and Caroline took. Looking forward to seeing the photos that your guys took as well, and also the videos as well. Where can people find more about what happened last weekend? Where's the best place for people to go and
there's loads of photos being released on our Instagram feed, which is Meanwhile. I think it's so I always get them the wrong way around. Meanwhile Festival or Meanwhile 2021, and that either Twitter or Instagram, but they're either or, and I always get them the wrong way around.
Twitter is Meanwhile 2021.
Okay, so Instagram, Meanwhile Festival, and also there's Meanwhile Festival on Facebook, and meanwhilefestival.com is our website. So yeah, and we're going to start putting up a gallery on our website of this event, which I think people will like to see. The Saturday afternoon was just splendid. It was really busy, loads of people there. And then we had a natural break, which was really nice. The rain caused a natural break. And then we had hundreds of people in the cathedral. We did a clicker. We had hundreds of people. But because the cathedral, as Kieran Gillan quite rightly said, looks like a set from a Warhammer,
it's a very modern contemporary building.
But, like Ian Churchill pointed out, there were hundreds of people there, but the space looked empty. And there were hundreds of people at the drink and draw. They had to put extra tables out for us, which I don't know whether you saw that happening, but they did.
I saw that, but I was more taken as well by the soundtrack. So it was the fact that we were in a cathedral, we were in a religious building, a deeply religious building. I was drinking a very nice IPA and listening to Bowie and getting grooving to some Tom Tom Club, and I'm going, yeah, okay, I'm down with this. This is good. This is fun. No, it really was such a great weekend, and like I say, it was an honor to be a part of it. And I'm looking forward to hearing more about Meanwhile 2022 down the line. So very much looking forward to that.
Yeah, I need Ali's foot to knit back together and to have a bit more sleep, and then I can start thinking about it.
When did you start coming around, by the way? When did when did the fog start lifting?
Wednesday, Thursday, I think.
I was waiting for you to turn around and say this morning.
No, and I So on Monday, I was fuming because we got to the hotel on Sunday night, and I had had a pint of Guinness with John Higgins and Ian Churchill, and they were being really lovely about the event. Oh, Sally was there as well, John's partner, and they were being really lovely about the event. And I got back to the hotel at about midnight. You know, it wasn't Larry, anything like that at all. I just needed to sort of distance myself from the event just for a couple of hours, and got back, and at 4:15 in the morning, some idiots are running around the hotel slamming doors, which woke me up. So over like a space of 72 hours, I think I had less than 10 hours sleep. So Monday I was walking around like a zombie.
I mean, so long as you emailed Kieran and Al about that in the morning, because I think that's just personally rather rude of them to do that.
Well, I mean, when I put my head out, when I put my head out the window, sorry, the door, I did recognise the full Phoenix back tattoo that Kieran has, but I didn't want to say anything, you know.
Fair enough. Where can people find out more about you and your artwork? And just point people in the direction for your stuff.
Well, everything's Pretty Funky. So Pretty Funky on Instagram. My website's Pretty Funky, although you can get there through simonmyers.co.uk. And my Twitter feed, which I don't necessarily use for the artwork, is Cy Myers. But like everything's Pretty Funky. So if you type in Pretty Funky, it'll take you to my website, it'll take you to my Instagram, it'll take you wherever you need to go.
Excellent stuff. Simon, I know that it's been a long week for you, and you've probably wanted even a little bit more distance from last weekend just to kind of get your head around it. But for myself, I just wanted to say thank you very much indeed for putting on an amazing festival. And I really hope that I get the chance to be a part of it next year, because if anything, I think me and Caroline had a blast of a weekend, and it was just well worth taking part. It was just amazing.
So personally, you actually feel that it was a success, and that it, with maybe a few tweaks, it could actually be a really successful event moving forward?
It was a really successful event moving forward, and yes, a couple of tweaks could be. But then again, in a couple of tweaks, it was your first year, man. I mean, there's always going to be something. I mean, listen, the tent didn't blow away, so that's what you've got to take from it. The wrath. Okay, the wrath of God was not inflicted on your festival, so you were fine. You were fine. There we go. Simon, thank you so much indeed for coming on, and looking forward to finding out more about next year's festival.
Cool. Cheers, Len. And again, thanks for digging us out of a hole. That was really kind of you. Thank you.
Always. Excellent stuff. Thank you very much indeed for coming.
Take care, man. Be good, Len. Bye-bye.
So there you go, Simon Myers. Like I say, Meanwhile Festival on all the social medias. Do check out more about it. Like I say, he's going to be posting up the videos. I'm really looking forward to seeing how those panels came out. And I'm certainly looking forward to rewatching the ones that I missed. So do check them out on their social medias. So there you go. That's our first show back. Hope you've enjoyed it. I know that this is currently going out on our Patreon. So we've got a couple of people watching from that. But if you are watching this on the replay, thank you so much indeed for tuning in for the first episode. Back again next Sunday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. GMT. We have got ourselves some guests that are lining themselves up. One of them that I met at the show at Meanwhile Festival. So hopefully we're going to be getting George Mann on the podcast in the next couple of weeks. Fingers crossed on that one. But we're also going to be keeping you up to date with all of the updates for all of the shows and Comic-Cons moving forward throughout the course of the year, especially as we head towards San Diego Comic-Con 2022. So from myself, thank you so much indeed for your company. I will see you next Sunday. And keep your eyes open for conventions, and let's see if we can get ourselves all back out there nice and safe. Till next week, we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.